Good morning. Welcome to SportsCenter on YouTube. This is Ryan Smith. I am merely David Lloyd.
Yes, and now I shall speak. We are 2.5 weeks away from a college football season unlike any other, including a supersized 12-team playoff and 4 rounds of playoff action, culminating in a national championship game in Atlanta.
That is 5.5 months away. A lot of work to do before that, and our ESPN Bet crew already grinding the numbers and giving us a look at some teams which may bubble up and others coming back to the field.
Here with Joe Fortenbaugh, I'm Tyler Fulgham, talking college football, big name programs. The college football playoff going to be a big storyline this season because now 12 teams invited to the playoff. So I want to hear, though, a big name program you think might miss out on the invitations.
The defending champion Michigan Wolverines?
Whoa,
minus 180 to miss. I'd play it up to minus $2. Very comfortable in Ann Arbor this year off that national championship win. No pressure whatsoever. This is problematic. 15 starters from last year's title team are gone, which includes a top 10 pick in quarterback J.J. McCarthy. Jim Harbaugh, Hall of Fame head coach, gone. Underdogs in 3 games this year, Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. And if they lose those 3 games, the rest of the resume doesn't offer much in terms of a plus for getting in.
Wait, we're really going hard at this assignment because I'll see your Michigan and raise you Bama. How about a parlay of those two missing out on a 12-team playoff? But Nick Saban, like Jim Harbaugh, gone. I like Kalen DeBoer, but this SEC schedule is going to be a bit tougher. They do have to travel to Norman to take on Oklahoma. They're at Wisconsin in the non-con. So losing Saban, I'll throw minus 135 at Alabama. Missing out on the playoffs by just a hair. All right, let's turn from pessimist to optimist, Joe. How about a big-name program you think is a good bet right now to make the playoffs?
Let's head out west and play Utah at a price of plus 220. Kyle Whittingham, head coach, his penchant for big, nasty offensive and defensive linemen is going to transition well to the Big 12. 13 starters back from last year's team, as is veteran quarterback Cam Rising. I've got him favored in 11 of 12 games this season. They should be a small dog at Okie State on September 21st. Win the Big 12 and you're in. And you can do that with a loss because this conference is going to be interesting this year. Remember, no Kansas State on the schedule, which is huge.
Once upon a time, Joe, Nebraska used to be the biggest program in college football, but they haven't been good in quite some time. Enter, no, not Patrick Mahomes. Just his doppelganger, young Dylan Raiola, one of the top recruits in the country. Going to be probably QB1 for Matt Rule. How about a long shot 9-1 coming out of the weak Big Ten West, where Ohio State's the toughest game on the schedule? That's at the shoe, but if they can do well outside of that, maybe they're an 11 or 12 seed in the tournament.
Year 2 of Matt Rule was very good at Temple. Year 2 of Matt Rule was very good at Baylor.
These 2 minutes with Joe and Tyler, I think very good as well. Back to SportsCenter.
All right, thanks, guys. College football's upon us, so that means it's Paul Finebaum time. He joins us now, and let's get right into it, Paul. Hey, those guys, they like the line for Alabama to miss the playoffs, but you disagree. Why do you like Alabama's chance to make the playoffs?
Ryan, what if I told you that the coaching drop-off isn't that much? Well, I was just kidding there. There is a significant drop-off between Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer. But the guts of the team is still there. It still has Jalen Milroe, the quarterback, most important position in sports. So I think Alabama is in good shape there. They lost some key elements across the board, but Milroe can get them through some of the tough times, such as the road game at Wisconsin. Probably not the Georgia home game. They're on the road at Tennessee. They have Oklahoma. But if they can win 1 or 2 of those, they're going to be in the playoff. All you need is a 10-2 record, essentially, and I think Alabama can get there.
And they got a Heisman Trophy contender for a quarterback, so we'll see what happens with them. All right, sticking with the SEC, Paul, who's your sleeper pick to make the playoff?
Well, I'm going with Tennessee. They have a freshman, actually a sophomore quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. He was fantastic in the bowl game when he came in for Joe Milton, and I think he's going to be one of the top young quarterbacks in the country this year. The schedule, a little tricky with NC State, OU early, Alabama, Georgia late. They split those, like I said, with Alabama. They're in the playoffs, maybe even with 9 wins. And then there's Penn State. Remember, we love to make fun of James Franklin. They can never make the playoff because they always lose at the end of the season to Michigan and Ohio State. Well, they don't have to worry about that this year because Michigan's not on the schedule. Oregon's not on the schedule. They open with a nasty game at West Virginia. They do have Ohio State at home. I think they finally get there and people start easing off on James Franklin's criticism.
Okay, the criticism, well-founded in the past. Penn State's finished in the top 10 4 times since the start of the playoff. Never made it. Much better chance with 12 teams now. Paul Finebaum with the very latest.
2 weeks ago, Freddie Freeman's 3-year-old son, Max, woke up with a slight limp 4 days later, he had gone into full paralysis, diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, a condition in which the body's immune system attacks the nerves. Freddie rushed home from a road trip in Houston. Max was in the pediatric ICU, hooked up to a ventilator. After 8 harrowing days, Max was discharged on Saturday. He is expected to make a full recovery, but as Freddie said, he'll have to relearn pretty much everything. Freeman back at Dodger Stadium for the first time since all this yesterday, and he tried to recount the ordeal, starting with the moment he saw his little boy in the hospital.
By 7:30, he was completely ventilated, feeding tubes, everything. So I walked in about 10 o'clock. It's hard. I think a lot of us are parents in here. Seeing one of your kids on a ventilator, just fighting. It was hard.
Just a nightmare for the Freeman family. Baseball, obviously not the priority right now, but Freeman trying to focus up as he returned to the lineup for the Dodgers game against the Phillies, and the Dodger Stadium crowd made him feel welcome.
First baseman, number 5, Freddie Freeman.
They actually stopped the pitch clock for a while so the fans could shower him with love. In the 3rd inning, Freeman's second at-bat, and while he's not really focused on baseball, does line it into right field for the base hit. And then when he gets to first base, he gets a hug from Bryce Harper. Freeman said Harper was texting him 4 times a day during the ordeal. Here he is on his mindset for his return.
To be honest, it was okay during this game. I think it's more because I know at home he's okay. Just knowing he was safe at home on his way to recovery made it easier to just concentrate and focus. You know, I got to catch every ball and try and get hits and do all that stuff. I had a guy in scoring position with 2 outs. I'll hit myself over the head on the way home for that one. But I didn't find myself drifting. Or after I got the hit, though, I looked at my dad and went like this, you know, like I was excited to be back. It's just mostly because at home in Orange County, things are okay.
Freeman talking baseball. Let's go to the highlight. Dodgers up 4-3 in the 8th. Shohei Ohtani leading off the inning, and oh, there he goes. Didn't catch all of it, just barely got out, but it did. And then Ohtani kind of missed first base. Well, yeah, get back there. He's done that a couple times. In his defense, he does make a lot of trips around the bases. That's his 34th home run. Dodgers win to pull within a half game of the Phillies for the NL's best record. Meanwhile, the sad story of the Chicago White Sox continues. The AL record for consecutive losses, 21, held by the 1988 Orioles. The White Sox matched that dubious mark last night in front of dozens of fans in Oakland. 2 worst teams in the AL, though the A's are 20 games better than the White Sox. Kai Busch making his big league debut. Max Schumann, ground ball. All ground balls against the White Sox seemingly find a hole. That scores 2. White Sox an advanced case of the Mondays. 0-14 on Mondays this season, to the bottom of the 6th. Lawrence Butler stepping in. Just turned 24 on July 10th, which is also the last time the White Sox won a game. That's his 11th home run since the beginning of July, tied for the 3rd most in baseball. A's up 4-1 to the 8th. Even strikeouts work against the White Sox. Strike 3, ball gets away, the throw to first base, and the run comes across. Chicago ties the AL record for most consecutive losses. Pedro Grifol left once again to answer questions about his team's abject futility.
I mean, we talk about it every day. Everybody knows what it is. It's 21 in a row. It sucks. It's not fun. It's painful. It hurts. I mean, you name it. Whatever you want to, however you want to describe it, right? Like I said, it's not for lack of effort. Nobody wants to come out here and lose. So we just got to put a good game together and put this behind us.
So the White Sox tie the Orioles' American League record, still out there. The Phillies in 1961, the MLB record of 23 straight losses. They are 5 games away from tying the all-time record of 26 straight, set by the 1889 Louisville Colonels of the American Association. Scintillating work by our research staff to get the Louisville Colonels into the show. 1889. That was not their year. Massive disappointment by the Colonels.
Yeah, what a bummer of a year for them. The White Sox have 2 more games with the A's in Oakland. Then they come home to host the Cubs this weekend. That will not be a happy scene if that losing streak keeps going. Come on, White Sox. Just win one. Just one. One?